Muy buenas a todos, bienvenidos a un vídeo más. Hoy tenemos unos invitados súper especiales, creo que os va a encantar. Hoy no estamos en nuestro set habitual, hoy viajamos virtualmente hasta Karlstad, a Suecia, para entrar en un lugar donde se custodia el futuro de nuestro pasado. Estamos en el Embracer Games Archive y tenemos nada más y nada menos que a David Boström, CEO del archivo, y Natalia Kovalainen, su jefa de archivo. Hey do, David, Natalia, welcome to El Último Cartucho.
Thank you. We're excited.
Yes.
Välkomna till kanalen. Välkommen till det sista kassett. It's an honor to have you here.
Oh, really good work.
Yes, I have a past in Sweden someday, I will tell you. So let's talk about Embracer Games Archive. For those people who don't know the project, what is the Games Archive and what is the mission?
So Embracer Games Archive is an archive for physical video games, and we try to build an archive as extensible as possible of all physical video games from all around the world. And we are located in the northern Europe, in Scandinavia, in Sweden, and the city Karlstad. And the most important thing for the archive is it to be a resource that's helpful for the video game industry, for the video game culture, and the video game history. So for example, we can help out museums, we can help out video game developers, we can help out schools, researchers. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that the archive can be useful. And we think it's very important to be able to look back. The video game industry is around 50 years old, something around that. So it's a unique place where so much video game history is gathered at one place. And today we have over 80,000.
Yeah.
But soon we will actually have over 90,000.
Wow.
So yeah, we have a lot. And it's, of course, there are the games, the physical games, and it's also the consoles and the computers that you play the games on, and also all the different kind of accessories like fishing rods, light guns, controllers and things like that.
Because our ethos is preservation through use. So we think it's really important to keep the legacy and the history of the games alive, and that we do by actually being able to play them on as close as possible, like it was when they were released. So we have like the old CRTs, we have old mice and keyboards, and we have the old controllers or TVs, so that we actually can, even though we don't have like a time machine so we can go back in time, but we can at least for the present day give an as close as possible experience as it was when they were released.
And I think it's quite amazing to see, if you like the first system, the oldest system we have is the Magnavox Odyssey from 1972. If you see the journey it's made since like 2 pixels on a screen till the video games today in only 50 years. It's like an amazing journey. And who knows what will happen in 10, 20, or maybe 100 years? How will the video games look then? And I think it will be very, very good with this archive to be able to really look back and have so much gathered at one place. So we've been doing this for 4.5 years now it is, and we've come quite far, but the journey is like eternal. We have around, as we said, 90,000 objects today, but yeah, we have a long road ahead of us with gathering more objects and games to the archive. But we love it. We all of us working here are video game nerds. We've been playing our whole life, so we are basically working with our biggest passions, which is the video games and computer games. So we are very happy and very thrilled, and also
very humble
to be able to have this. It's like a big responsibility that we have to build this archive, but yeah, we are doing the best we can, and yeah.
Awesome. It's really a dream job. It's something really special. As you said, you are preserving the whole history of a new art, it doesn't happen often that borns a new art and you can start to preserve everything from the beginning. So it's a really important job indeed. And how did this journey start? What was the spark of the idea, and how did you enroll? How did you join the project?
Yeah, we can start to explain the history of the archive. The archive is an initiative by the Embracer Group, and the co-founder and he was the co-founder and previously CEO, Lars Wingefors. He's been in the video game industry his whole life. Starting as a teenager, he had sold comics in his mother's basement in a very early age. I think he was like 14 years old. He was really an entrepreneur, started a company. He then realized that they were more profitable to sell video games. So he sold all his comics and started selling video games. He created a store and also a franchise of stores around Sweden which sold video games. It was called Nordic Games and then became the game stores here in Sweden. So he's been in the video game industry basically his whole life and done the journey from his mother's basement to becoming the CEO of Embracer Group, which is today is a global concern within entertainment. We have IPs, we have video games, mobile apps, board games, and also comics. So he's also known as being an avid collector. He collects everything from stock notes to comics, and he also collected video games. So he had a very big private collection of around 50,000 video games in his private collection. So like 7-8 years ago, he started thinking that my personal big video game collection could be useful in some other ways. So he started thinking that, maybe we should build an archive for video games and show the story of this unique cultural form. So he started thinking about that, and the cogs started turning. So like 5 years ago, me and Natalia here in Sweden, we saw this job ads that they were searching for people that were gonna be given the responsible of building this archive. And both me and Natalia, big video game nerds, and you have worked as an archivist, and I have worked as a team leader in warehouses my whole life. So we thought that,
we both applied for the positions, and we couldn't believe it was true because something like this doesn't happen, and even less in Sweden. It's kind of unexpected. So I think that we both were very excited, but for my part it was kind of hard because Sweden is kind of a very long country, and I had to move from my hometown here, and that was a kind of a hard thing to do when you're 30 plus and have a life established. So, but this work doesn't really exist. It's like a job that it's so that is something that you take that step for.
It sounds almost like a made-up job that doesn't exist. But I was given the role as the CEO, and my first mission were to recruit my team of building this archive. So of course I needed someone who's good with archiving, and there we had also Natalia's application, and I thought directly this is like the perfect fit for this role. So I met her, and there is this history, and you're sitting here today. So it's me and you, and we already had acquisitioner Thomas Sundhede, who is the one who's searching around all the world for finding collections and collectors and find good things to buy to the archive. And then we also have Jack Kovalainen, who is our technical engineer. He's good with databases and all the technical stuff. So we are a team of 4, and we complement each other very well, as you just so the 4 of us were giving this honorable mission, and in these last 4.5 years we've been building this archive from scratch basically.
And if we're a bit like talking good about ourselves or say something positive, is that we've come very far very fast. Like we have done a lot in this 4.5 years. So I think we've really taken on our positions and really try to do our best, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. From an outsider, I can say your work is amazing. You did something amazing in such a little time, and I guess it will be very hard process to catalog and maintain all these video games. So yes, you suddenly get 50,000 pieces from the single start. Yeah. And I guess you have to do a lot of work of cataloging, doing pictures, organizing. How do you handle or these big figures, and how do you handle the database?
You have to you have to eat the elephant one shoe at a time, because it's such a big endeavor. We were really at a very early stage. We had to decide how to unpack everything, because we have our entrance room, which is a very big area, was filled with all of these pallets and boxes, and we really needed to know how do we handle this, and we really needed to know what we have. So we acquired our shelves that we might see as our fifth member almost, these big shelves, and that's where we started first packing up everything in the boxes. And we are very fortunate actually that the provenance was upkept about all of the boxes. So we knew that these pallets are from this special collection that was acquired in a special time, and from this specific person, because that's a thing that we also can promise from the archive, is that we can upkeep the provenance. So if you, Diego, were to donate something,
all of your Xbox 360s,
yeah, it's who knows.
then your name and legacy can be kept, so we can know exactly that this Xbox was from Diego, and he had maybe this story behind it or something. So that's a very important thing for us. So I'm, as an archivist, extremely happy that that was actually upkept. But
it made it a lot harder in the beginning, because maybe, for example, Sega Mega Drive games, we have 20 over here, we have 100 over there, and 300 over there. It would be the easiest way to just put all this game in the same shelf, but then we have to keep on track which games are from which collection and so on. So we sorted it out from which collection it was from.
So that was our first step. And then we had to start working iteratively, so in different pass-throughs. And as you said, we had a lot of things to handle already, and our main objective was to know what we have and where is it. So that were our main questions to answer. Even for my heart as an archivist, that was really hard, because I like data and I would have loved to input a lot of data, but we had to be very pragmatic about how we do that. So we had 6 parameters, like title, platform, which type of object it is. Is it a game, or is it a console, or is it something else? And of course the platform, the name, and if possible the region or the language, and maybe also the media carrier. So those were the most basic things that we inputted. And now we're in our second iteration then, so our second pass through, and that was more on the physical side. We actually took all of the games out from the shelves, and we started cleaning them very, very lightly on the outside, putting a sticker, because when we create a post in our database, every item gets a unique number, and that unique number makes it possible for us to follow them, everything about them. So we put a sticker with the number both in human readable, so numbers, and also as a QR code. So we have both, so we can scan them. We have an app on our phone, so we can handle them and move them and so on. And at the same time, we also took pictures of the front and the back, because that's what we needed for the moment, just to be able to actually, for our acquisitioner that doesn't live here in Karlstad, so that he can see, for example, pictures, or that we can do it when we're just searching for objects in the database. So those were the two things, and we're actually, with those two iterations, we are up to date. So everything that we have in the archive has gone past those two iterations. So as fast or as soon as something comes in, we try to handle them hastily and do both the cataloging and the sticker and photos, so that we can work with that. And you can tell about how you started sorting them.
Yeah. I can also say that because around that time we have around 60,000 objects when we started doing the first cataloging, and we couldn't, if we lay too much time on each object, it would take a long time to handle everything. So it was great that you and Jukka realized pretty soon that we cannot in this stage of the journey put in too much information. We need to know as fast as possible what we have, so we know what we don't have in the archive. But we are very happy. I think it was last year that we celebrated that everything that we have in the archive is in the database. That's a big step for us. And now, after that is finished, I'm right now doing a big sorting. So now we actually move all the Sega games to the same row, all the Nintendo objects to the same row. So we have a good sorting and also optimizing space, because the biggest enemy in an archive, as Natalia has told me, is the space. Eventually you will always run out of space. So we started thinking about that at an early stage as possible, to really save these centimeters here and there, which became several shelves in the end. So now I'm actually doing all the consoles, all the accessories, and all the computers and stuff like that. So I'm really putting my mind into it, and I hope I will be finished in 1 or 2 weeks with a big sorting.
It has been quite a big work, actually, doing that, just gathering everything. And you've already done all of the games, so that's finished. And it's so impactful when you walk into these rows and you can see everything together. It's hard to understand sometimes, like here is like a complete NES, or here is a complete Super Famicom collection. It's a very impressive feeling to be able to see all of that together.
It's almost, I think it's too much for the brain to handle. Even if people that visiting here have seen pictures from Instagram and so on, when they come here, they like, it's a lot of games. It's hard to imagine.
Just a full set is impressive, but what you have is mind blowing. It's absolutely crazy. It's hard to understand, because we are speaking about the Alexandria library in gaming. It's the whole history, whole systems, even the most obscure or more rare. So you are collecting everything physically done, and we are talking about incredible figures just by games, and also you are doing consoles and peripherals and many things. So it's mind-blowing, and also it's for me mind-blowing how do you get these pieces. I mean, do you have a roadmap, or do you have, I want to complete the first, I don't know, Mega Drive or Super Nintendo or 32X or whatever. So do you have a roadmap for the future? Or how does it flow?
Yeah, it's still since we're still in an early phase of building this unique archive, there are still so much we don't have. So we have a prioritization. What do you call it? Priority list with the system that we are really missing out on, and that we think will have the most need of people searching for. So right now we have some systems, for example, American games. We don't have that many. For example, American and Nintendo Entertainment System games, we don't have hardly anything. We don't have anything for the American Sega Genesis. So the most efficient way for us is to find a collector or a collection where somebody has put his or her mind into it and gathered a complete set, and we have nothing for that set. So it's the most efficient buy for us. So mainly right now we have this priority list and we search for complete or big collections for games we don't have. But we have systems like the PC and the Commodore 64. I haven't heard of anyone who's had a complete set of those, but hopefully we can find a collector that have a lot of PC games or a lot of MSX or Commodore games that we could find. So mainly right now we are searching for bigger sets, and also Thomas, of course, is looking for games that we don't have but we should have. So like Fallout, Final Fantasy, Zelda. If there are some of those games that we are missing out on, we will fill in. For example, now when 2025 is over, we can easily see what games were most influential and most important, and we try to get those as well. Yeah. For example, it's Clair Obscur and Hollow Knight and games like that. But Hollow Knight is not out physical yet.
But it will,
hopefully, yeah.
But another aspect there is, of course, we want to have new games also, but that's not our main priority at the moment, because just to clarify what David said, it's very hard to find a complete collection of, for example, Switch games today, because they're still releasing.
Yeah.
So we preferably find collections that are older and that are for platforms that are already past, or what you can call it. But in that line, we also really like aftermarket games, for example, but because people are still very passionate about these old platforms. So we still see games released for the Commodore 64. We still see games released for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So that's a really interesting part of history, and to be able to show that for coming generations, like people still love these things. Like we're still passionate and we keep it alive.
I think we have quite a good selection of what you call it, aftermarket games, as you said. It warms my heart to see new games being released for older systems. I think that's a very nice thing.
And also sometimes game that might not have been released to a specific region, but maybe another one to actually now be released to other parts of the world. Those are also very, very fun, I think.
Yes, I wanted to, one of the questions I had for you, it was exactly about the new games for all systems, like Demons of Asteborg, or these new games for Mega Drive, Super Nintendo that they release. I guess they are not a priority right now because they are new in the market, or do you acquire any of these new games?
Yeah, but we buy actually quite a lot of newer games, because you don't really know, will it be hard to get that game you were holding up in like 3 years? It's very hard to find, and so we don't want to gamble too much on that. No. And we also like to, what do you call it,
to really help out.
Really help out the new games being released for older systems.
But also, that's also a complicated thing, because we might have some complete or like collections, but what is a complete collection? Like every collector might see it a bit differently, and most collectors won't say that aftermarket games are part of a complete collection. So that's why I think that it is important that we try at least to get a good spread of them.
And we can clarify, when we said complete collections recently, we often mean that the games that were released for the system during its lifetime, so to say, it's official lifetime.
Officially released.
But even officially, it's a hard thing to track, because there were regional versions. For example, you mentioned USA, but Europe is a very fragmented market, and there are exclusivities from Scandinavia, exclusivities from Italy, from Portugal, from Spain, from France. So what is a full set in Europe? It's really complicated to define, because there are small sets of games in every country that were exclusive in that country, and if you have to know all the countries, or you have to find people that know exactly in each country, which both things are difficult. So it's.
You have a good example there.
Yeah, and I can also add that our focus right now is mainly Europe America and Japan. But of course, we will move to other parts of the world when we see the time come.
Plus, if the possibility would just arise that someone has a collection of Brazilian games,
absolutely.
against the, of course, it would be interesting too. But it's not what we are actively like searching for.
Was it this one you mean?
No, Mr. Gimmick.
Mr. Gimmick, yeah, sorry.
Mr. Gimmick, yes, absolutely. Scandinavian.
Exactly. Yeah. Japan and Scandinavia, and we were actually part of the new release.
Yeah.
So that's we have them
really
over there.
Congrats. It was great because finally I got it. I know people here in Spain that have it, but this kind of grail here in Spain.
Yeah,
it's
like
really
holy grail.
Yeah, it's really hard to find a copy.
They were re-releasing the game for newer systems.
Yes.
So we helped out with helping them scan the box and scan the instruction booklet and also the cartridge.
Yeah, exactly. Because IPs or like games can be owned by many different companies, and maybe when you made that exchange, you actually didn't get all of the physical games, or just that you as a company just wanted to work and just like look forward and didn't think about keeping things. So that's why we've been of help to more than one company or developer to actually give them scans or help them out in some way. So that's something that we really want to promote and help out with. So if there are any people out there watching this that have that need and are working on a game like that, we are helping.
Because this is a very good game, I think, personally, and I'm very happy that more people can be able to play it in a more accessible way, because finding this original cartridge, it's not easy.
And it's expensive.
And it's expensive, so now people at least can play the game in a simpler way.
Plus, you actually need maybe like a monitor, you will need the console and so on, that it is like a very high step to actually get it. But now you can show the new one.
Yeah, of course.
That the one that we were part of, because the booklet that you see in this version is actually the game that we were part of scanning. So you can see part of the archive in it, so to say. And I think also the cover was also scanned by us.
Yeah.
So we really think it's fun, and it's a way, maybe not like preserving, but still making history available for a larger audience.
Yes, and that's a very great reason to keep an archive of physical, because mainly people think about gaming preservation, about ROMs or the software, but hardly think about the physical media, and it's really important to re-release these games, to not lose them, to so both sides are really important, to keep the software but to keep also all the physical media and all. So it's absolutely amazing, and it's a great example of how do you cooperate with people. Do you also get maybe donations from the industry or from, I don't know, another companies like Nintendo or Capcom or whatever? Do you get donations from other companies?
I can take it. Yes, that's part of the work that our acquisitioner does. It's not only buying things but also getting things donated. So we've gotten donations from companies. We have actually some, for example, for the Switch, we have a company that releases more like small indie games. They send us a copy of each game, and we have other examples of like both internally from Embracer but actually outside of it. So we're trying right now actually to outreach more and to start getting that going, because I think we think that is a very important task, and we would like in the end goal, we would love to see like developers and game creators sending us their games so that they can be preserved here, so that we really can have an as extensive as possible like part of history in the archive. So his work is also in donations, and we also have like private persons that can donate. So we've gotten from private persons, we've gotten games that they have been actively part of creating, or maybe a part of their personal collection. But with that said, we are very, very careful with acquiring, especially when it is a donation, that it truly is something that we don't have in the archive, because we really only want one copy of each version if possible. But so that's very important for us, and that is why also one of the big reasons that we wanted to have a picture of all of the games, so that our Thomas could actually sit there and really look like, do we have this? So that's a very important like aspect of that.
But most people, or almost every people that I met, are very positive about what we are doing, and that's makes us glad, of course. And they most often want to contribute, donating something that we don't have, and so on. So yeah, so we need help.
Yeah.
It's like we have this big mission upon us. We cannot handle it ourselves, but we need to work together.
Now that's awesome and really good news, because as you said before, to rescue the past, to rescue all these games, is not cheap, because market is growing like crazy. Prices have skyrocketed in the last 5-6 years. And how do you get funded? How do you get the money to keep going and keep this really important mission?
Yeah, the archive is founded by the Embracer Group. So everything that we buy and acquire through the archive going through Embracer Group. So it's a very big initiative and big effort that Embracer Group is doing with supporting this and taking this, what you call it, responsibility, because nobody else is. It's a big mission. It's not an easy thing to do. So if not Embracer Group has done it, who would have done it? And as each year passes, it will be harder and harder to go back and collect as much as we have. So I'm very grateful for the initiative that they took. And I didn't, as we said, when we read this job ad, I remember I had to read it like 10 times. This isn't real. This initiative and this work doesn't really exist. So I just got goosebumps thinking about it. I'm very happy, and we are so fortunate to be able to work here, Natalia, to be able to walk in this archive every day and be surrounded by video games, and we can make other people happy and help out others with this resource of games. So yeah, it's quite amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, because there are growing a few museums around the world. For me, the first I knew was the Berlin Videospiele Museum, and they did great work there, but it's a small museum, and they have been growing others in Rome, here in Spain. We have in Malaga Oxo Museum, and they opened it also here in Madrid. And there are growing little museums, but they are very, very far from, because they born from small collections, so they are very far from the work that you are doing. But do you have any cooperation with these museums to maybe temporal exhibitions or something like that? And how do you track it in your database? Because it's complicated, both things.
I can say one a little bit thing, but we have also noticed that during the last years, I would say, we noticed more and more museums popping up here and there, and that's very
good, because more people can get gaming history.
Yeah.
If I go on explain, no, you can.
I just forgot what I was supposed to say. So you can go on.
We were talking about all of these small. Because we are so new, we're actually just going to start trying out how we do the whole exhibition thing. So we are just going to start trying out how we lend things and how we handle them. Because something that we've noticed is we are so new and we're doing things that we haven't done before, and maybe no one else has done before in this way. So we are like stepping on new ground, and that's why we learn every time that we do something like this. We get more and more knowledgeable and can think about all of the important aspects. So we're right now looking into a more like local exhibition that's going around in the libraries here, but we're also looking into something more bigger also. So we have things going, but we aren't really there yet. And about our database, we have a database that is actually very good for the work we're doing. It is a very it's a database that is really good, like well thought of, because we have everything from the specific objects that we can search for. We can search for the locations, we can have pictures, and also the whole preservation aspect we also can keep track of. But as you said, with the lending, we can keep track of all of the lending things there. So we have the possibilities there. It's only about how do we use them, but we have absolutely the possibility to both keep track of them, how we're borrowing them, how they're being transported, and everything there, but also make like more like in our database, keep them not together, but have like a virtual collection. So if someone else wants to borrow the same kinds of things, then we have like already this prepared so that we know. And I can also just emphasize that we, as it looks right now, we're not making ourselves any exhibitions, because our focus is just the archive, and it's big. It's a very big thing. So that's our focus. So when someone wants to borrow something for an exhibition, for example, they have to come with the idea of what they want to do, what they want to borrow, so that they like come with everything, and we just try to see how we can help and how we can meet in that.
Now I remember what I was gonna say. That we also noticed that some people that's been collecting for like been collectors for like 20-30 years, that have sold or donated their games to us. Most of them have had their own, as you said also, you had your vision of maybe one day I can open up this museum and show everybody my collection. It's a very nice thought, but when you start doing it, you realize it's a lot of work. You have to have the premises, you have to have the time, the energy, sort everything out, have a good plan of how to show it, and the security, the
working there,
the temperature, the moisture, everything. It's so much to think about. So maybe we have this guy who has been the what we call the collection, the Austria collection. He had been the collected for 30 years, and he had this plan and vision of having an own museum, but he realized it's too much work. I cannot do it. So when he heard about our place, where his games could fill the similar purpose, but here instead, he was very happy that his life work could move on here and still be useful.
And he was truly an avid collector. Yeah. How many objects of the archive? Is like
I don't remember, but it's a lot.
40,000 of the archive is his primarily. So he had a very big collection.
It was a perfect starting point for us because he had a lot of different computers and systems that's very rare, and it was a good start for the archive.
And that's something I wanted to ask you, and as you mentioned it, one of the sides I see as collector that is more difficult is the preservation itself from the items, because you have a lot of cardboard games, really fragile, and if you have too much light, they can sun fade. If you handle them incorrectly or with rust, you can deteriorate them in order to damage them. So how do you? And even in the transport, I'm thinking about transporting my collection, and it's crazy. More about like 30,000 items. I cannot even think how stressful is the transport for those things. So how do you handle this chain of preservation?
It's a big endeavor, just like you said. It's a lot of work, and right now we're just as everything we've done at the moment, we're just trying to do the things that are really pressing, like what is the most important thing. And for example, last fall, was it?
Yeah.
We had what we call the battery days. So we put like many tables in the archive out, and we started taking everything out and removing all of the batteries, all of the primary batteries, because people do leave batteries in their consoles, in their controllers. Yeah. So we had quite a lot. I think, how many were the 6 kilos?
More, I think it was more.
Yeah.
Over 10 kilos of batteries.
Yeah, crazy.
And it's of those like small that look like a coin or the AAA, AA. So they are very, very small batteries that don't weigh a lot by themselves. So that is one step, for example, in the preservation work. It is our technical engineer, Jukka, that is also our conservationist.
Yeah.
And he's the one making a plan about how do we do everything. Because, for example, there are some computers that have capacitors that will start leaking within some time. So his plan is to inert so many of them that we at least can keep them. So remove all of the batteries and the capacitors or other things that might somehow destroy the actual console or computer, and then have maybe one or two that are actively used, so that we have some there kept in a like sleeping state, so that we can take them out when and if needed. So that's a work that he will be doing soon. And the thing is, it's so complicated, just as you pointed out. A game, for example, it's this thin kind of card like paper. We have the cardboard, we have this plastic film, we have the inlay, we have the manual, and all of them are
and
different
the cloth,
materials.
what you call it, the cloth or
the fabric,
yeah,
and all of the things, what's it called, the things that are inside to make it fluffy. And we have the game, which is also plastic. We have both the cartridge, because this is a Switch version, for example. So we have the cartridge and we have the box. So we have so many materials in just one item, and that's really hard to actually preserve. So we've had discussions like, how do we handle them? One way would be to actually separate each and everything here. So have all of the boxes by themselves, have all of the cartridges and everything, but then we would lose this. We would lose actually being able to see and touch the object. So in a very early stage, we came to the conclusion that this is what we are going to have. But with that said, games are complicated, and one of the maybe things that some have not understood from the work that we're doing, we don't need a pristine game. For example, the Mr. Gimmick, it wasn't like a 10 out of 10, because for us, we don't mind that the games are a bit used, and maybe they have like a nice price tag, or maybe they have some kind of like drawing or map that makes it very interesting. So a work that we also did that is preservation work is that we removed the plastic from each and every game. So some things might have been a bit painful to remove the plastic off, but at the same time, it's about both being able to upkeep our ethos about preservation through use, because if they are in a plastic outer shell, we won't be able to use them. We actually won't be able to do what our mission is.
And eventually, it's called shrink blast. So it will eventually be tighter and tighter, and eventually it will like strangle the game, so it will implode basically. So
yes, there are some kind of seals that compress with the time.
And we've seen that multiple times, even on things that people would find very valuable. But we see that these plastics, the shrink plastic, really destroys. And we've even seen actually like hard metal boxes have been like crushed by the plastic. So it's a very, very important thing for us, but I know that for some collectors that might be a hard thing to understand. But for us, it's not about having these pristine things, it's about using them. So we are using history.
Okay, yes, because that was another of my questions. It's perfect because it flows with the conversation, and because there are different seal variants. There are some plastic exactly that are thermosealed, and those shrink and destroy the game or the console. And there are others that doesn't do that, but there are variants of sealing. For example, even now in Nintendo Switch, you can find with a Nintendo stripe, and then you can find with recycled stripe, or you can find with, there are different stripes and so on. These sealed game are not part of the mission. I understood from your, no, it's for using and for educational purposes and for keeping. Okay, perfectly understood. And
sorry.
No, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, for example, we have gotten Switch games that have, for example, some kind of badge on the outside, or some kind of like some kind of like sticker on them. Then we cut them out and put them inside of the game, because that's still something special that's part of it. So those things we keep, but the Nintendo stripe or that we don't have the capability of handling. But in our database, we actually write them that we open here that are sealed as sealed open by us, so that we know that this game actually contains everything that it did when it was sealed. So that's something that we keep track of also.
Yes, it's perfect. Just some seals for us, for the collectors, are hard to open, because, for example, the Nintendo Red Stripe in UK, that is very beautiful for Super NES games. It's very beautiful. Or the French blisters for Super Nintendo or Mega Drive. They are beautiful blisters, but also they get yellow if you don't care about them, and so on. So those things are always hard for us to lose.
I didn't bring it.
No, you didn't bring it. But it's totally understandable that it's painful, because that's also part of history. But at the same time, actually, all of these plastics makes it not only that they shrink, but you create like a microclimate inside of this plastic when they actually can't off-gas. So who knows how the inside will look in 20, 30, 40, 100 years, because maybe all of this off-gassing will start making so that some plastic react with others. You might have seen, for example, in old like consoles or like computers, that the styrofoam has reacted with cables, for example, or that the cables have reacted and maybe made like marks, and that's maybe just in like 30 years, and that's because of off-gassing, because some of the plastics have things, I don't know the name of the material, but they start like sending out gases, and then they react with each other. So that's also why it's important to open things up.
Yes, and even very recently in Nintendo Switch, because there are so many collector's editions right now, and include some goodies like plastic, like key rings, like things like that. Some of them are already in a very short span of time creating gases and destroying the collector edition from inside. It has been discovered very recently that some games actually happen this. So yes, it's in a matter
do you know which games? I am really curious. Do you know games?
Yes. I will send you a list of games, because there are at least 60 or 70 Switch games that includes goodies that melt, really melt inside the game. So you have to remove this these goodies in order to keep them. So I will send you a list of because
Really
as a collector, I keep also my own databases and things like that.
I also, isn't it the Sega Saturn games? The instruction booklet in some games is so thick, so when you close the game, it's actually bending the CD itself. So that's, I think there are a few titles there you have to be very careful about. They don't have a bend disc.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super interesting. So that's another thing I wanted to ask you is about when you receive a big collection like that, it can have, and unfortunately it's happening more and more, not real items like unauthorized reproductions or bootlegs that has been sold as real games. Especially I'm thinking about games in Neo Geo that are many times reprogrammed to be another game, or falsification. Someone thought he was buying a classic and it's sealed, and when you open it you find FIFA inside of the game. Some things like that. How do you handle these things? Do you keep all those bootlegs too, or do you discard them? How do you handle, or you didn't have the case until now?
Yes, at the moment we are working on the third iteration, and that's actually the first time that we are going to open up everything, because we haven't done it till this moment. So that's when we will actually know what we have. But when acquiring bigger collections, we try to, of course, acquire them from someone that we've looked into, they trust and know that they are experts, because that's, I think, we are knowledgeable about some things, but we are not like all knowing, all of the four of us. So we really need to get into contact with grassroots movements and collectors and others with like the deep knowledge about all of this. We have, for example, a complete Neo Geo AES Japanese collection that looks very good, and we have multiple versions for some games because they were released in different times. But we got another expert that came to us, and he told us that there was even one more version that we didn't have because the logo had moved to another place or something like that. So that's also part of everything. But at the moment, we don't know if we have bootlegs, but that's a thing that we will have to look into.
But most of the collectors that we have bought from are we have a good relationship with them, and they are very trustworthy. So but as you said, it could be even the collector, him or herself, maybe that didn't know that they had a bootleg. But if we found out, we will of course somehow manage that in the database.
Yeah.
Because our aim is not to have bootleg games.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, no one is all-knowing. It's impossible. It's so huge, this gaming history, that you have to contact experts of each system and region and so on. Who knows about I don't know, games in Brazil, or games in Taiwan or Korea, or regional games of India that has their own NES or SSR. There are so many different obscure items that it's impossible to know everything. It's absolutely a crazy mission. It's something that you need to keep those contacts, because it's very, very worthy. To use all these items, fantastic items that you have, of course, do you preserve also like original monitors, like CRTs or things like that, to complete the original experience, or does it take too much space, because these things are huge?
We have quite a good selection of older monitors and CRTs. Of course, we can have how many you want, but we have a good selection. And as I think you said it in the beginning, our main goal is that everything in the archive is going to be playable on the original system and on the original monitor type. So that maybe not something that we have had time to prioritize yet, but eventually we want to have everything playable. But we have like 20, 30 CRT monitors, something like that. So we have quite a good selection.
So that's an important aspect for us to have a representative amount of monitors that are related to a time for it, so that you feel like this is how it actually looked when you played Quake for the first time, this is what you got.
And in the early 2000s, where you maybe playing PC games, you had this 4:3 monitor. You can remember, it maybe not the best picture quality today, but it was what you had then. But it's also like the right feeling playing a game on a 4:3 monitor instead of a widescreen monitor.
Yeah.
So that's something we really aim to have.
Yeah, because everything is like, I love to personally relive the older games and the nostalgia, and you want to have it on the right system. You want to have it on the right kind of monitor. And in a perfect world, you also want the right environment with the posters and the the things like in the desk, the things like that. And also the chair. It's like an old chair instead of a new gaming chair. So but maybe that's not something that we cannot focus on all that. But we have a quite nice game station here where we can play most of the games.
Because we've had actually researchers come here to actively play games on original 4D game hardware, to actually be able to feel how it was back then, to see, for example, we had one that came and studied FMV games, of full motion video games. So he played on the Laser Active, he played some Commodore 64 games and so on. And for him to just actually have the possibility to touch this interface, touch this keyboard, actually starting up a game, booting it up, it's a very special connection to get. So and just sitting by it, knowing how long it is to actually sit by it, how did it look, how did it, so that's a very important thing.
I used to compare it to listening to old vinyl records. It's like most people can relate to it. It's a special feeling, hold this square box with a vinyl, you take your time, sit down, put it on, let it spin, put a needle on, and you hear the sparking sound. It's it's a very cool experience. I see the video games as a similar kind of experience. I want to have the physical feeling of it.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned, sadly, I'm also vinyl collection.
Yeah.
The vinyl soundtracks game collection. Do you keep things like that, soundtracks, or not the mission, not the goal?
It's not our priority, but we have a good selection of video game soundtracks as well, because before we came into the picture and Thomas founded these bigger collections, there were some soundtracks among them, and we also got some donations of video game soundtracks. So we have actually a stereo table here in the entrance, and we have quite a good selection of vinyl soundtracks and also CD soundtracks, and also soundtracks on cassettes. So Amazing. It's not something that we focus on, but we think it's very important. It's like a good thing for the experience. So we used to put on some good vinyls, maybe Turtles in Time soundtrack, and Minecraft we have also on vinyl. It's a very calming music there.
Yeah, amazing. As you said, it's there is a lot of things attached to the games, but there's also a thing that I think is really important, and I don't know if you do it also. It's about the behind the scenes, the what is previous to the games, the dev kits, I don't know, source code or schemes or drafts? Do you collect these things, these previous to the release things?
No, that's not part of the scope that we have here. But we really think it's important to help developers, like, both know what they should do with these things, because most of the time there are, for example, national archives or national libraries that are willing to take this kind of objects, and I think that would be great, because we don't have the environment or capacity to start, even though it's really cool and it's
would
very
be something
important.
It's very important. We really would like to do it.
Yeah.
But our main scope is the games and the consoles and the accessories. That's like our main goal is like so big.
Yeah,
if
it's
we also
absolutely
do
huge.
the like digital and all these other things, we wouldn't do anything of it good if we try to be at every place at once. But we really, as you say, we really want to maybe help that person who contact us and has the source material or something like that. Maybe we could help the person get in touch with the right place that could take care of it.
Absolutely.
Because that is very important. And for us, we also work with having contact with other people doing preservation work, because we are just doing the physical part, but we would really like the archive to be part of further types of preservation. So here in Sweden, for example, we have contact with the Royal National Library, which have the main goal to preserve games here in Sweden. But what is a Swedish game and so on is a very philosophical question that we are not getting into right now. But we know that we have games that are, for example, Swedish, that haven't been digitally preserved, and we think that they should be like the place to actually do this, because they have the legal right, because that's a very important first thing for us to actually do everything within the legal boundaries, but they have the right to preserve them digitally. So we are very open to helping others preserving that have the right to do it, to be able to help them.
For example, when we scanned the Mr. Gimmick game, we had they had the IP, so they had the rights. Exactly. So we could do it.
So we're not like we can't make like scans or copies just to someone that because they would like to have it. They have to like have a legitimate reason to actually be able to have it.
And I know I have like 1,000 questions more, but I know your time is limited, so I will stick like for just the three last questions for the future of the Embracer Games Archive, and I will let you go because I'm stealing a lot of your time. So my last question, the last three questions. First one is, I think you answered it because you already said that people goes and visit and play the experience. The question is, can anyone visit the Embracer Games Archive?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everybody is welcome to contact us, and we really want to be a helpful resource that people can go to and get help. So if you just contact us, it's mainly Natalia who handles all the inquiries. So if you're gonna write a book, or you're gonna have an exhibition, or you're gonna do a research for school, you must have some kind of main mission or main goal. And if it aligns with our
the scope that
we are doing, they are more than welcome here. In case maybe they come here, or maybe we can look something up for them in searching out the object and look it up for them. So yeah, everybody is welcome to contact us, but we are not like open to the general public. You cannot just come here and knock on the door and go in. We would really like that too, but we have a lot of value here in the archive. We cannot just have random people walking in here. So yeah.
Plus it would take time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are only 3 of us working here on site, and we have Thomas that's working remotely. So yeah, we cannot handle it.
Absolutely.
even though we want want
Of
to.
course, it'd be nice.
And you did so much in only 4 years that are you feeling that you will need more space in the near future? Are you planning to open other archives in other locations or any new bases on site?
As for now, this place is good. It's very good for us building up the starting foundation of the archive. So, but I think now the archive we are at, the premises that we are in now, will do well in several years ahead of us. But eventually, maybe we will move to something better and bigger. But yeah, let's see what the future holds. But we will be here for a long time still.
So you will be there for a long time. And in other countries, there is any plan to do a mirror, I don't know, in another part of Europe or in Latin America or USA, any plan of doing a kind of mirror in another location?
No, not now. The main archive will be focused here in Karlstad in Sweden. But as we said, we are more than happy to lend out objects and help people out, but we have no thoughts of branching out. No. We have a lot of work. It's just creating this place with all the shelves, all the databases, all the problems, all the preserving issues. Yeah, so there's a lot to think about, and I think I'm quite happy that we only have one place to focus on right now.
Anyway.
But if somebody's watching this, they are more than welcome to reach out. The easiest way is to visit our homepage, embracethegamesarchive.com, and there we have a contact where you can just fill in your name, your email address, and write your question, and me or Natalia will handle it pretty soon.
But we can also maybe in the text you can maybe write our email or.
Yeah. And we also have I can mention also that we have a YouTube channel and also Instagram and X. On YouTube, we post a video roughly once a month where we'll give a video update of the work that we are doing here. Everything from how we sort the video games, how we did the planning with the database, and stuff like that. So you can follow our journey in the best way on YouTube, I think.
Yes, for the people that is watching this, you will find all the links to the Embracer Games Archive in the description of the video, and I will post it also on social media where the video will be promoted, so you can follow them, you can do inquiries to them, and you can see the amazing work they are doing, and really you cannot even imagine the magnitude of what they already have. It's mind-blowing. It's impossible to just even imagine how amazing is. So I will release you. You have only one base, but in any case, all your base all belong to us. So thank you very much for your time, for your kindness, for your great work, and really looking forward to see you in the future. Do you want to say any message as finish for the people who are watching us?
Keep on playing and enjoying games and see the beauty in games, because games are not only the story, they're also the art, the music, the sound, the story. So keep on enjoying games. I think that's the main thing here.
Well said.
Thank you very much. Espero que todos hayáis disfrutado de este vídeo y de este maravilloso rato con el equipo de Games Archive, y seguidles en todas las redes sociales, follow them, and see you soon. Nos vemos pronto. Muchas gracias a todos.
Chao.